welcome back to the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. So today I'm going to go through the laser that we put in, kind of what we did. I'll take this panel off on the front here and show you behind the panel and what we connected to before I start taking stuff apart. Show you, so underneath they have a few breakers underneath that you can get to by getting to this panel. So they have blade guide, accessory, ignition, start, and then not used. So kind of show you that before I take this top panel off to kind of show you. I'm going to disconnect the battery just so I don't short anything, and then we'll be right back. So I got the panel off, so there's 8 screws to hold this on. So just kind of lift this and show you inside here. Okay, so this is the switch that we installed. Everything else is already there. Switch for a couple of different switches here for the debarker, the little panel for the lights, the ignition, the hour meter. You have the switch for the blade guide, the potentiometer for motor speed of moving forward and backward. So then just quickly what you're seeing, a couple barrel switches here for the forward backward, and then a barrel switch over here for the up down, and then a whole slew of wires. So here are the breakers I was talking about, so I'll explain that here in a minute. So over here is the cable that we ran it down, so we're able to go around the U. And then this is what it looks like underneath. So you have some wires under there. We're able to sneak it through one of the holes that's already there so that we didn't have to drill a new one. So that comes up right here. So this is the wire, just a positive and negative that we ran up here. So the positive just runs to the switch. And then to make and break, basically what we're doing, we had to put in a 12 to 3.3 volt input output here. So you have the 12 volts that comes in from the battery, which we're pulling power from one of these breakers. So initially we tried to use one of the additional ones over here, but it was only powered when the barrel switches moved forward. So we didn't want that, we wanted to be able to control it. So we found that this one is hot anytime the switch is on. So we stole power from here, ran it in the very back of the box. There is a screw that sticks up that has all the grounds tied to it. So we tied our grounds back there. So then the positive end of the output of the 3 volts comes into the other side of the switch and then goes out the other side to the actual laser. So that's kind of how we have that wired. I know there's a lot going on in here, but the other end of that is then just tied back to the ground so that you have your full loop for the DC voltage. So again, your power in or power back to the switch, the power coming from the 12 volt to the 3.3, coming out and then going through the switch so you make and break that hot. And then all the grounds tied in the back there. So overall not super complicated. Again, since we're able to steal power from this breaker, that breaker has a 15 amp rating, so we do have some protection on that if something goes, we have a short or something, we have something that will break that before burning anything up. So if that wasn't the case, then we were going to see about putting a fuse in place so that we had some protection on it. But since we're able to take power from here and not from just like the hot, that gives us some protection. So overall not super complicated, simple switch, just on off, and have it as a normal single pull, single throw switch and not a momentary or anything like that, just because we want to be able to turn it on, lean over, look at the board, see the laser, and then be able to turn it off whenever we're cutting. So that's kind of what's going on in here. So you notice there is a grease cup in here. So this stuff in here is meant to be meant for you to access it and for you to grease different pieces of this. So they put the grease cup in there from the factory. So it's supposed to be like that. And they in the manual it kind of tells you which things you need to grease. Again, we have 29 hours on it, and that's on this, and on the actual motor we have 27.5. So even with fairly few hours, we've been able to get quite a bit accomplished with the sawmill. So I'll swing around and then kind of show you what we did over on the actual business end of the laser. And looking over here, so this is the other end from the wire from around the U. So again, I was able to run a fish tape around and pull this back through, put it in the sheath, ran it up, ran it along the side here, stay away from all the moving pieces, run it underneath the bottom here, which our little stickums are already kind of coming off, so we might have to find another solution, but those just kind of stick there, and then you can run a zip tie through it and then zip it to that to kind of help manage the wires. So here's a little bit closer look at the bracket we made. So we started with, we're going to use the magnet. I think we're actually going to take it off to kind of bring everything in a little bit. But we have this piece here that is actually a 2-inch receiver piece. The outside diameter was the perfect size for this little rubber insert or plastic insert that this rides in and out of. So we're able to put that in there and then drill a couple holes on this back side to get, so let's see here, come over like that. So there's a plate on the back side here with 2 screws in it, which are what you're seeing here on the bolt side. And the magnet here isn't needed now. We thought at one point we were going to use it, but we ended up bolting it all together. So I think we're going to take the magnet out to move everything up. Right now, so the vibration you saw in some of the video comes from this piece, and just with everything sticking out and moving, there's a little bit of vibration, and it doesn't take a lot when that is projected that you see. But basically, this is the bracket. So we'll probably take this magnet off, bolt this directly to here, and then maybe see if there's not a way we can't stiffen this piece up. So kind of this is the piece that is causing the vibration. So so that's mainly it. So whenever it's on, you can see it across the back wall if it's not on the log, and if it's dark outside, you can see it out in the woods. So it's a pretty powerful laser, definitely. With it being kind of enclosed like this, if you don't have direct sunlight, it works really well. I think even if the sun were around where you get more sun, you'd still be able to see it. So anyway, so that's kind of what we got there. The first time we did this, we got everything run, got most of this buttoned up, and forgot to put the 3.3 volt DC to DC converter in, so ended up having to get a spot, and we just were able to zip tie it to the bottom here so that it's not floating around getting into anything. Installation with the switch and everything, and since that was already there with the laser spot, it looks more factory, and it doesn't look like it's just a stuck-on thing that we had to do aftermarket. So it's kind of a nice clean installation that way. See which laser it is that we got, I don't remember now. It's one of those things I got Dad for Christmas, just because I knew that he kind of talked about it, thought it'd be a cool idea. So I got that, and then I was able to order that DC to DC converter from that same website. That way we didn't have to try to figure out getting the 3.3 volts There's 5 volts over here because there is a USB and a 12 volt, or there's the 12 volt cigarette lighter, but then you have a USB which provides 5 volts. But since you need the 3.3, I went ahead and got that instead of trying to steal power from that up there. So hit me up in the questions if you have anything that I didn't explain. But hope you found it kind of interesting seeing how we got that wired in and everything. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. We'll catch you next time. Quick bonus, kind of show you, this is the wood that we bundled up. This is our shiplap siding. So stacked it all here so that it could dry and you know, get any shrinkage that may happen. Obviously it's not going to be perfect. So we got some of the ends splitting out. Again, this is about 10 foot. We only need about 8 feet of it. You can see on our wall that we did pretty green over here. Spots that weren't perfectly together to begin with have developed a pretty good space in them. So that's kind of one of those things. We knew that there was going to be shrinkage, and we're hoping that, you know, kind of the 1/2 inch overlap would be enough, but obviously it wasn't. And for this building, not a big deal having a little bit of air come through. Again, even with that, that will be for the grill pavilion. Not a big deal if we have gaps. More just kind of doing that as a learning experience to see if, you know, we let this sit for about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, if, you know, that makes a big difference in that. Because I've been reading that the majority of the shrinkage of boards happen in like the first 2 weeks of them being cut. So we're hoping that having these sit for a little bit will kind of help that. And that's why, like the video I have of having the boards in the carport area, same concept, trying to get those to shrink up a little bit before we build with it. We haven't had too much issue in this building as far as shrinkage or anything. We did notice and tighten up the other day this gap here. So there was a pretty decent gap here. This is the one where we ran some lags or some carriage bolts through on both sides, and we're able to tighten this down even more to bring that together. So we have noticed some things, but overall not too much of an issue. And since this is really our first building with green wood, you know, it was a learning experience. So just trying to kind of learn as we go and trying some different techniques like this to see if we can't, you know, improve the quality. Again, have the banding on here. It's been about a week and probably just about as tight as whenever we left it. So I have a couple of moisture meters. I have the prong type that you stick in, and then I also have the surface ones that you just set on there. The surface one I think only goes up to 35%. So this wood is above that, I believe. And then we have the prong type. I think it goes up to like 75%. And I haven't checked this lately, so I'm not 100% sure what it's at, but been kind of checking it as it goes to see. So there's a little bit of waviness in this. This was the highest section, 10-foot section we had on the tree. So, you know, the bottom 20 feet didn't have any limbs. This one started to have some limbs and more knots in it. So you can kind of see some of the waviness in that from having more knots and just not being the best part of the tree. But again, for the grill pavilion, it won't matter too much, and it'll just be nice to have something to cover the grill, the blackstone, and everything. So anyway, just kind of a bonus showing you what we got here since it was in the background of this video.